Welcome back everybody. This week on with more of the servicing. So we've done an oil change, fuel filter changes, shown how to take all of the engine cover off and how to change the air filter element. We finally got the hose for the air filter, and that's only taken about 4 weeks to get, so we can replace that old horrible split pipe. And this week we're going to go on to do some brake servicing. The vehicle, we think, will have been stood for quite a while. It's kind of a good recommendation that brake fluid should be changed every 2 years, so we're doing that. And the brake pads that are on the truck when I first got it, they're all a variety of different wear levels. So I've got a full set of brake pads, and we're going to replace them and have an inspection of all the pipes and discs and things all around the vehicle as we do things. So we're going to get into that. So pinzgauer is one of the, in my experience, one of the most difficult to jack up vehicles that I've ever had. I'll show you why. So if we look around here, we struggle for jacking points. If you jack up close to the wheel, then you have a big issue when you try and put an axle stand in, because the leverage isn't there, so the wheel will actually lift the truck up quite considerably. At the minute, even though that's been jacked up about 4 inches, the wheel's still touching the ground, because this big pinzgauer thing is that the more you jack it up, the further the wheels tuck in at the bottom and rotate round on the axis. So we're having to have a look at our best way of jacking it up. Right, so we got it jacked up. We had the jack under the rear differential and then put an axle stand in at its full height, as close as we could get the flat surface to the wheel. So that's that. It's resting on this wheel on this side. It's not quite touching that axle stand, which you can just see. I've only got one of these long axle stands to get that length of height in, so we'll just have to lift it and reposition every corner. So we're just going to take this wheel off. We've got stud arrows on it so that you can spot if they're unwinding. These are all quite rock hard, so I'm going to have to put a breaker bar on them. So we'll get into getting this wheel off. So getting in here, this is our rear. We could be getting quite a lot of cleaning in round about in here, get this disc cleaned up. We're going to have a look at what these pads and things are like in just a minute. Pipe wise, it's quite neat and tidy. We're quite happy with that. We'll have to see if we can get this bleed valve released, and then we can see what we can get bled through here, and we'll replace all the brake fluid in the whole system. So we've got the caliper off, and we're just taking the caliper bracket off here as well. We're going to give this rub down and possibly a paint, and we'll go round and we'll do this in all the corners. We're going to get this disc off as well, and see what we can do with the wire brush to tidy that up. They're nice and smooth. They certainly don't need replacing. They're just kind of mucky from standing, I think. While we've got the wheel off, I think in here we'll also try and get this all washed out to get this all cleaned up as best we can in this corner. Yeah, so these have been done up rock hard tight. 19mm spanner is the only thing that'll do them. We can't get a socket in from behind, which is quite unusual for a caliper carrier. So we'll just get the one done with the spanner. There we go, we've got that carrier off now. We'll give that a good scrub. There's quite a lot of muck embedded in that. That wouldn't have been helping things. Even the spiders have been making it their home. We'll have a look at getting this brake disc off, tidying that up, and then we can get the whole tub, sorry, the whole hub all washed out and cleaned and everything. There we go. Yeah, loads of muck on the inside of that as well, and the face is quite dry, should be quite copper slipped. Yeah, so we'll have to have a good old clean of things round about here. As usual, the gloves haven't blasted the job, but I think that's more me than anything else. So we'll have a bit of clean of this area, have a bit of clean of this disc, and have a bit of clean of that carrier, and we'll come back. Right, we're going to get a copper slip all around this face. Should have been slipped. That stops the, or it should stop the disc seizing on the hub. There we go. We find our 2 bolt holes for holding the disc on, and we line them up. And get our disc back on. So the disc's been wire brushed and then cleaned with brake cleaner. To make sure it's nice and spick and span. Like I say, there's no pitting or anything in it, so it's a perfectly usable brake disc. Do those 2 bolts up tight. There's no reason they should be as tight as they were, however, because like I say, when that wheel's bolted on there, then that holds the disc in place as well. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to get the carrier back on. The carrier's all been cleaned up. I was in 2 minds whether to paint them. But I think at the minute I'm just rubbing everything down, cleaning it, and the next time I go through everything, I'm going to go through thoroughly and paint some things. I kind of got a theory that I want to get it roadworthy this year and do some further improvements and stuff next year. So we've got our 2 bolts there for the carrier. Once we get 1 in, then we're going to be in a far better position for knowing where things are. There we are, that top one's in and holding. And there's the bottom one. We'll get our 19mm spanner back. Do them as far up as we can by hand. I gave these bolts a quick wire brush as well to just clean up the threads, get some of that massive amount of Loctite that was on them off. Right, so that's nice and tight there, and we'll get the new set of brake pads. The brake pads on pinzgauer, they're the same front and back. It's just the front disc has 2 calipers, which we'll probably have a look at in a separate week. The way this video is going, I think we'll manage to do the rears one day and the fronts another, but we'll see how we're getting along with that by the time we get to the end of this. So there's our 2 new brake pads. The 2 brake pads that were on this this corner looked quite clean and tidy, so it might have been that they were quite new there. Brake pads sit in like that. Okay. Need some cotter slip on the back of them. Right. That helps with vibration and the whole seizing issue as well. There we go. And then our caliper. Goes over the top of them like that. This caliper is going to need a little squeeze. It's just a tiny amount of wear from the previous pads. Flip that down. And yeah, we're over there. Push that into place, and we'll get the 2 bolts. Got the good springs on the back of the pads. Right, so we need our 13 and our 15 spanners, and we need our, I had to go and get a thinner 15 to get in there. There we go, so we cleaned off the disc and we've changed the pads, and the next thing we wanted to do today was to try and bleed off the old fluid. This is the furthest nipple from the reservoir, which is why we started with this one. This should be the one we start on to make sure that we're getting rid of the most of the rubbish old brake fluid. Round on the brake reservoir, I've got a Gunson Eezibleed fitted. If you look in the link on the description, you'll see that there's a link on how to use and set up one of those. I wasn't going to reinvent the wheel by making a new video on how to do that. There are a number of good ones, including one from Gunson, on how to use it properly. It's sat there, it's pressurised, and we just need to see if we can how we can get this. There we go. Alright, so that came off easy, relatively, and we'll bleed that and see what we get coming out of here. The brakes on this have been pretty good, however, looking at this fluid, it is a shocking state. Yeah, right, so we've got that started now. It wasn't running with the pads not in contact with the disc, so we tightened it up. We pressed the pedal till the brake pads met, and now it's running freely. So we're running this until we get clear liquid running through the pipe here. It's still quite cloudy and murky, which means it's old and it's got water in it. It just absorbs water through the atmosphere. So the plan is we're just going to keep running this. The Gunson holds about half a litre of fluid. My plan was to run most of that half litre through just this corner, and then that's going to allow us to run fresher fluid through the rest of them, and not waste as much as we go. That looks like that might be clearing out a little, but we'll keep it running. So I filled the bottle up again, and we're going to let this run through some more. Fill up this jam jar, I think, just to make sure it's all run through. Brake fluid's cheap, so we might as well do the job right. So while this is still running here, I'll just give you a bit of a tour of what's happening up the front. So we've got the Eezibleed attached onto the brake reservoir. Okay, that needs some pressure from a spare tyre. So rather than lifting up one of the pinzgauer ones, I'm using the little spare off my trailer. That needs actually to be let down to about 20 psi because the maximum working pressure of the system of the Eezibleed is 20 psi, and that just trickles through the whole system and comes through and flushes it all out of the brake nipple down here. And the stuff coming out is starting to get close to the colour of the stuff coming in, so that's quite nice. I'm going to leave that probably for the duration of lunch, and we'll come back out and we will check that everything's all singing and dancing in the end. So our jam jar's nearly full here. We'll lock this off. And we'll get it all disconnected, get it all wiped down and give it a clean. And then the wheel will be good to go back on. So I'm making sure I'm copper slipping my bolts, and then hopefully they'll come off a bit easier than they did this time. Right, so there we are, that's this corner done. We'll jack it up and we'll move around to the other side and do the other rear corner, and that'll be the whole of the back bled then, and then we can move on to the front. So we've got the second rear wheel done. That went nice and easily, all that on film. The weather's turned a bit for the worse. We've started getting some rain and things, so we're going to have a look now and see if we can get both the fronts done before the weather turns too lousy. It's supposed to get quite nasty, but we'll have a go. We're all set up to do the driver's side front to start with, so we'll crack on with that. So I don't think I'm going to do too much more today. I think I'm going to bleed the brakes. Of course, the front on these has the same brake calipers, but 2 of. Okay, so I'm going to bleed these through so that we've got nice clean fluid all the way around. And then I'm going to leave the pads today. I think we'll do the pads another day. And we'll maybe just do a catch-up video with that when it happens. But I'll do that. It's exactly the same process as doing the rear. Hose on, leak off the fluid until there is a decent amount of clear stuff coming through, and it's all pressure coming from the Gunson kit that's on the cylinder. There's not much meat on these front pads. They're in a lot worse condition than the back pads were, but the fronts do a lot more of the braking. So we'll see when we get them replaced what they're like. There's still a decent amount of life in the discs by the looks of them, so we'll give them the same treatment as the back ones, a nice clean up and things. But I'm not going to record the leaking off of them. That's just the same process as we've done on the back too. So we'll see you again next time. We'll have a look at starting the timing belt, which is one of the next round jobs, or the transmission fluids, because they're all going to need change as well. It's starting to get pretty horrible here, so I'm going to get the cameras out of the wet. Okay, see you soon. Goodbye.